This slide comes from the White House. This shocked me, but when I saw this, at first I was like, never thought of that. But Fortune 500 companies, the majority of the CEOs, they're engineers. I always thought they were business majors. The two traits that stuck out as engineers: problem solving and critical thinking. But what we need to remember is that we're also teaching our kids skills and attributes. The number one thing I want to say about Define STEM, it is an application of knowledge site. It is not a foundational content site. What does that mean? That means if I want to teach, if my kids are struggling with fractions, I'm not going to Define STEM to find lessons, activities, tutorials about fractions. And that's a really important piece, because what we found is that's kind of the number one misnomer. People get into the site and go, wait a minute, I was looking for a lesson on this. It's about big pictures. It's about applications of knowledge.
And thinking about the time it took when we first started, the first day took us about an hour and a half. And we were a little frustrated at first, I will admit, because we were looking at it from a content. We were looking for specific content. And when we finally let go of that idea and realized really what was it we wanted our students to accomplish, and it was learning a content in something that was high interest, where they would work together and take on a role and produce a product, we were much more successful.
Over here you'll see 21st Century Skills. I don't know if you're familiar with this group, the Partnership for 21st Century Skills. The belief is that students that will succeed, adults that will succeed, will have these 6 attributes: creativity, innovation, problem solving, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. Because of the testing, creativity and innovation falls away because we're so focused on the strategies our kids need to succeed. Think about types of thinking: analytical and logical in framing problems. I go back to the idea of problem finding. What happens is, the world we live in, we jump to solutions. Here's 15 ways to solve this. And what happens? You do the 15 ways and there's an issue with everything. So when you're kids, when we get into this and we look at the Understanding by Design task template, spend time in the problem finding. Because what happens is the students quickly start to learn through their own knowledge the things they don't know. As you all know, when someone tells you what to do, you go, yeah, that's fine, because we all need to make our own mistakes. And then we make our mistakes. We're like, well, will you tell me about that now? And that's the same with the kids. I don't care about fractions until I need to use a measuring cup. And I'm like, how does this thing work? So those things matter. And the other one is pro-social, working with others to solve problems. We go back to the idea of diversity, working with different people. Kids need to work together, inevitably. And the idea is one of the major skills we must teach our kids is pro-social. So we need to model those skills. And we need to think about how important they are with our kids.
I think they do a lot of problem solving and critical thinking without even knowing they are doing it. But you see them when they stumble on something or they're disagreeing on it. They have some tools that they've learned for how to resolve that, besides rock, paper, scissors. And I think that that's been a big piece in watching this project and watching them work on it, because they want to solve it. They want it to be good. They want to accomplish what their goal is. And so they're willing to listen to each other and willing to have discussions about, well, what do you think? How would you do it? And I hear them saying, well, why would your way work better? And they would let their partner explain why they thought their way would work better. And I think that's a wonderful skill that they're getting from this.
The next types of thinking, again, remember thinking. What we're after, knowledge equals information times thinking. I don't mean to stress it, but you got the information down. You got the content. You got the skills. You got the strategies. The next piece, interdisciplinary. Interrelating what is learned in depth and breadth. Think about what is learned. Again, you are only a teacher. You're only teaching if someone is learning. Interrelating what is learned in depth and breadth. We need our kids to figure stuff out and be able to use things in other situations. And then the next thinking, which will lead me over here, is systems. Understanding interconnectedness. There's this great little thing that I saw, and it just came to me now. I'm just going to share it with you for a minute. Think about the word mom being over here, the word dad being over here, and a line being between it. If you ask your students, do you know what the connection is between mom and dad? Do you believe they're all going to give the same answer? They're going to give a ton of different answers. I share that because it's an incredibly simple piece. When we look at systems interconnectedness, we often make this belief because mom and dad connected is so simple. It's not. It's incredibly complex.
I think our team is really strong with that because I will do science reading from the science book actually in language arts sometimes. And so they always wonder why Mr. Wallets isn't there. But they learn that, oh, that's also a part of reading. So I don't think we look at our subjects in isolation. We look at them as blending together, and that's a lot like the Common Core. All the standards blend together. So I think that's a big plus in the way we work together.